Hello everyone and welcome to another training video. So in today's video we are going to do the Kitty Hawk Airfield to Wonderboom Airport once again, but this time, as you saw in the title, without using autopilot. It's going to be more difficult. Usually this was supposed to be the first training session, you know, when learning instrument flying, but I prefer to do with autopilot first because in real life things are much easier than in a desktop simulator, because here without autopilot you still need to fly your helicopter, of course, but then even if I have track IR, and probably most of you don't, you will need to swap view like this to look at the radio, to dial in the frequency, and then maybe zoom to see better, and at all that time you need to still be flying the helicopter. And in a desktop simulator you don't feel what the helicopter is doing. So if you do this and this, it's very difficult to feel if the helicopter is turning to the left, to the right, or is it gaining altitude, losing altitude. This is what makes flying without autopilot very difficult, when you have to also take care of the instruments. If you were just VFR, you don't need really to dial in frequencies and that kind of thing. You're just using landmarks. You have your heading here and that's all you need. But when using instrument to, for example, here we will use the same flight plan, so it's from Kitty Hawk to Zonderwater, and then Zonderwater to the Wonderboom VOR, which is located at Wonderboom Airport. So what I would suggest is either you pause the game. Okay, you're flying and then you just pause the game, and once you pause the game you can then change frequency and then flip frequency, whatever you need to do, and then adjust the course, and then unpause the game and continue flying. Except that when hand flying, most probably you will have to be holding the cyclic in a certain position, especially if you have those spring center joystick. Most of you are probably using that kind of joystick like myself. So when you pause the game and you let go, once you unpause the game, the helicopter will kind of be shaking, jittering, and all that kind of thing can throw you off. So that's one method, and another method is obviously to assign keys like here. Okay, this is probably the view I will be having. So I just glance, I look at my frequency, and then okay, here I'm gonna show you that I'm changing the frequency. There it is. I have assigned keys, so I can, and then flip, and also for the obvious here, I can rotate it. So that's what I will recommend you. Even if we are not going to be using communication today, having one for the communication too. As you can see, I'm just using the key bindings, so for COM, but definitely for nav1 you need to have key bindings for this, and then of course to flip. And I will also recommend for the altimeter, like here. Okay, so for altimeter, for the OBS, and for nav1, I have really recommend having key bindings so that you don't necessarily have to pause the game when flying. Having said that, it's still not that easy, as you will see, because once again you don't feel what the helicopter is doing. So just doing this, you have a look at your instrument, and when you do that, you already see the helicopter turning to the left or to the right, or nose up, nose down. But still, we're going to be doing our best to reach first waypoint is going to be Zonderwater, VOR, and then we will track Wonderboom VOR. So what I would also recommend you doing is to write the flight plan with all the frequency, heading, waypoint, everything on a piece of paper, like I'm using a paperclip board, and all the information are there, so place it a place where I can readily see it. And of course, since here we have only 2 frequencies to tune in, we could have easily dialed in the first frequency and put it to active, and then dial in the second frequency on standby. So we'll be tracking the first frequency, and then once we reach the VOR station, we flip to the second frequency. But here, just to practice dialing in the frequency in flight. What if you have more than 2 frequencies? You have 4 or 5 frequencies and courses. So we will also be practicing this in the air. And another thing, while we do have GPS, which makes things much easier, even if we don't have autopilot, we will assume that we don't have GPS because not all helicopters are equipped with GPS. I don't know which helicopter you will be practicing, but I would highly recommend to practice with a helicopter that really does not have autopilot, because you could do the same thing with a helicopter equipped with autopilot. You just don't use the autopilot, but it might be very tempting to activate the autopilot once you are in a difficult situation. So it's much better to learn if you are in a helicopter that really does not have an autopilot. Here it's the Vskylabs R44 that I'm using, because it has a very nice OBS, as you can see here, and VOR indicator, whatever you want to call it. And this is the helicopter we'll be using today. So whatever helicopter you will be flying, same room supply once again, as long as here I have a very good view of the heading. Not that good view of the figures here, but fortunately I have track IR, I can just zoom in and out. But of course the flight is going to be a little bit jittery, shaky, and especially today we have bad weather when I will be doing this and then doing that. So it's a desktop simulator, you have to understand. So without any further ado, we will get prepared for the flight. So what I would recommend doing is already check the weather for both airports. So here we are at Kitty Hawk. So details, it's going to be 10-16, and write it down. And we are also going to be looking for a Wonderboom, because we won't be able to do all that once we are airborne without autopilot. So is this Wonderboom? Yep. So 10-16, here it's going to be 10-15. Okay, so this will already, and it seems that the weather is a little bit better now. So it's already at 10-16. If it wasn't, you just either use the knob, but here I have key bindings, just put it to 10-15, 16. So 15 is going to be for Wonderboom. And once again, we will not dial in our frequencies, just to practice doing it when we are in the air. Ready for takeoff. And by the way, this helicopter, I'm not really satisfied with the way the collective, this gauge, the manifold pressure operates once you pass 20 inches of mercury, sorry. The developer is aware of it, but he says it's fine. So once you reach past 20, it kind of rises abruptly, and then it sinks, and then rises and sinks. But anyway, so the landing might be a little bit sketchy because of that. But I like the helicopter anyway, so let's get ready for takeoff. So our initial waypoint will be Zonderwater, frequency 114.3, and course is going to be 48. So what we will do is we will take off. Just make sure. Yep, we will take off, and you will probably see what I'm talking about here. As soon as it gets higher than 20 inches of mercury, there it goes. I'm not inputting anymore, and then it goes down by itself. So for the takeoff, it's not that big of an issue, but for the landing, when you need to select your hover power, to land, as already explained in previous videos, this is where things get a little bit sketchy. You rise and then sink, and then rise again and then sink. It makes you dance over the helipad. So But apart from that, it's a very nice helicopter. And remember, the flying too has to be, you know, manual, no autopilot. It's already taking off. I will aim for an airspeed of around 60 knots for the climb. Turning to around 48, and then let's establish climb. Then I will dial in 114.3. So what I'm gonna do is 111040. So I know I have to decrease by 10. I have to increase by 4. 114, decrease by 2. 114.3, and then flip. Okay, the frequency is taken care of, and now I have to select the course. There we go. And since we were already more or less on course, okay, now I will pause the game exceptionally just to explain something that I should have done while I was still on the ground, actually. So if you don't know how this works, this little guy here, so you see the bar, I will on purpose deviate from my course, and you will see the bar will move to one side. So if the bar is to the right here, it means that you need to turn to the right to align it. It has to be centered. Forget about this bar, horizontal bar. We are just going to use the vertical bar for today. And if you find this bar to the left, it means that you have to turn to the left. Now, by how much, it depends. Now the course is here 48, more or less. Okay, so if you find it's to the left, how far to the left will determine how much you need to turn to the left. Usually when the autopilot does all this, you don't even think about it. That's why you have to learn how to manually fly a helicopter using instruments. And same if it's to the right, depending on how far the bar is to the right, you need to, like for example, here if my heading is 048, maybe I need to turn until 090 in order to be able to capture it. That's one thing. Second thing is you have that flag. The 2 means you are flying towards the VOR station. If it was down here, the from means you are flying away from the VOR station. And also you notice that we don't have any DME. That's not going to show us any indication of our distance. So either you know the time it will take to reach the VOR station, you can get an approximation. I've already explained how you do this. If you're flying, for example, at 80 knots, you divide by 10, so you will be traveling 8 nautical miles every 6 minutes. Stuff like that you can use to do the calculation. Otherwise, once you see that this bar here is becoming very sensitive, it means that you are about to reach the station, as you will see. And confirmed by this being from 2 to both, and then only to from. Or it can switch directly from to from, and the bar will be completely on one side. That's how you know you have reached your station, and then you dial in the next frequency. You have an appropriate course. In this case, it's going to be 112.20, and the course is going to be 296. And once again, I could have done it now, but just for the sake of practice, I will do it once I'm in the air. So I will unpause the game, and I will deviate just to show you how the bar will move. I will turn to the left, so the bar will move to the right, and how to capture it. Okay, so let me set my zoom properly again, and then there we go. Remember, we are still climbing, so I will turn to the left on purpose here, and you can see the bar. It will take time because I was more or less on course. Here you see how it's moving to the right. If I keep this heading, you will see that it's really moving to the right. As you can see here, it's not centered, it's moving to the right here. Okay, so to capture it, I cannot fly 048 because that will be my heading. I might need to fly 060. until I capture it again, as an example, because it's not that far, and you can see here it's clearly off center, so I might fly this heading for a while until I center the needle, and once the needle is centered I can return back to 048 and starting to align. Of course, all that time you still need to fly the helicopter, keep an eye on the airspeed, altitude, so 6,500. Because of the clouds, that's going to be our cruising altitude for today, so we have reached our cruising altitude. We'll try to maintain this altitude unless we get into clouds, then we will descend if needed. So here the needle is centered, so I turn back to my heading of 048. And we will maintain this heading and altitude until we reach Zonderwater VOR station. And as you can see, I'm a little bit in the clouds here. I won't go below 5,000 anyway, so if I need to get down a little bit, I will get down. So that's why I started with the autopilot stuff first, so that you could understand how VOR works, how ILS work and all. Because autopilot definitely reduces the pilot's workload. But as you can see here, we are instrument flying without autopilot. Autopilot and instrument flying are not the same thing. Like here, I'm instrument flying with no autopilot. So I'm using real life weather most of the time, unless I want to demonstrate something and the weather is not giving me that something. But anyway, trying to maintain altitude while staying out of the clouds as much as possible. Now of course there are rules about I understand not everybody is, you know, knowledgeable on those subjects, and some just want to fly the helicopters properly. There are, you know, airspace and all that kind of thing. So I try to aim at tutorials at everybody, no matter what you want to do in the simulator. I could go into the more complicated stuffs. And one thing I wish it had was at least a timer, which it doesn't. So as long as you keep the deviation bar more or less centered, you know that you are you know, heading towards your waypoint. In this case it's Zonderwater VOR station. Keep an eye on your airspeed and everything. Like I said, you need to fly the helicopter. Okay, for some reason I'm losing power. So once you feel that the needle is becoming sensitive, like it's doing here, as you can see, I was turning left, right to keep track of it. So it means that we are about, I hope you will be able to see when it will flip from to from, as explained here. I'm really chasing the needle, so here technically I could already start turning towards the next waypoint, but just to show you when it will switch from the to flag to the from flag. but all that time, yeah, I'm not only looking at my instruments, I'm also looking outside to get whatever information I can get. Yes, really, you know, needing to chase that aviation bar. So it won't be long before we need to make our turn. And now I will just descend a little bit, stay out of the clouds, and there we go. The bar is clearly moving fast to the other side. And there it is. You see both bars, and then you will see only the two bars. There it is. So now we are going to turn. That's how I like to do it to my course of 296. In real life, you could have tuned the next station while doing so, but he has already explained it's going to be way tougher. And I wish the weather was more clement, so that I did not have to descend that much to stay out of the clouds. But anyway, now that I'm more or less the heading I should take, I know I'm on 114.3 because that's the frequency I just dialed. So I just need to reduce by 2 for the course and 2 for the fine. And as you can see, no, I pressed the wrong button. Oh, I should have pressed the wrong button. 112.2. Cross check, yes, 112.2. Now to adjust the OBS while still flying the helicopter. There it is. We need to turn. Let's cross check. Yep. We will turn like this. Once again, trying. I hope I did not turn IFR. And as you can see, capturing the bar, so should have initiated the turn way sooner, but between getting out of the clouds and anyway, for training purposes, you are going to have a good demonstration of things to expect when not flying with autopilot. I just want to reach the airport in one piece. There you go. And once it's centered, I will... There it is, centered. I will get back to the 296, more or less, heading. And remember, it was 10:15. I will descend a little bit. Seems to be fine. I will try to stay at 6,000. Hopefully we won't need to descend lower than that until we can see the airport. And once we see the airport, yeah, then we just proceed towards the airport and to land, because there's no ILS or RNAV or VOR, DME, that kind of stuff going on here. It's just using the VOR stations to reach our destination. I hope that manifold pressure thing won't mess up my landing. And curiously, the X-Plane 11 version works fine. I don't know why the X-Plane 12 version does this, but the devs say it's okay. All the guys in-house fly this regularly and they have no issue. Then my question is, but why is the X-Plane 11 version 1 and X-Plane 12 1 so different? One of them has to be, you know, not good, because they are not the same, they are different, the way the manifold pressure behaves. So, but I like the helicopter, like I said, and it's a payware, so when you pay for something, you don't want to believe you wasted money. So, and it's an upgrade from the R22. So once you learn how to fly the R22, this one has 4 people, pilot and 3 passengers, and you know, it's a bit bigger, and it has capability to also fly an ILS approach. Now, ILS approach, once again, does not mean you don't have visibility. It just means you are using instrument to kind of fly with more precision. That's what we are doing here. It's not using ILS, but it's using the VOR stations to get from waypoint to waypoint and eventually reach our destination. In this case here, it's the Wonderboom Airport. So apparently Wonderboom weather is a little bit better, and I can see the runway. Let me see if it's on 10-15. I can't see, but I will need to figure out how to make sure, even if I can't see. Anyway, and like I was saying, when you try to look up, down, and you know, do things, so now that I can see the runway, I can really now just forget about the instrument and just head towards the airport. I hope you can see the runway too. It's from the compass. Just move right. So yeah, as you saw without autopilot, tuning in the right frequency, and for practice purposes we did it while we were in flight, and tuning in the correct course and maneuvering properly, we are to reach our destination. We haven't reached yet, so let's just not celebrate. But anyway, the airport is in view as far as the navigation part of the flight is concerned. We've done it. Now we still have to land, and hopefully the manifold pressure issue won't make me crash. So we'll start to reduce our speed. Now below 20 inches of mercury, no problem. It's when it gets higher than 20 inches of mercury, that's when things start to go south. Now I wanted to do flights using the ATC. Now depending on which simulator you are, the ATC is going to be different, but since I'm in X-Plane, I tried to do a flight with ATC. Unfortunately, helicopters are not recognized by the ATC, so when you're air taxiing, you violate ATC instructions and that kind of thing, and the weight vectors you know, the runway. So I said maybe I had that sim before, but for some reason I don't know, since I upgraded into new version or something like that, it's not working, it's not even connecting. So if I do get it fixed, maybe we can do one with that sim instead of the default ATC. And anyway, if you are on a different flight sim, then of course the ATC is going to be different for you. So I guess if I'm to do ATC flights, it might be with that sim. I just need to kind of figure out how to get it working again. So let me see. Yeah, that's clearly Wonderboom. Yeah, I can even see my private heliport from there, from here. I mean, my private heliport, it's a custom scenery I made. I don't own any private heliport in real life. Now so far so good. Like I said, below 20 inches of mercury, no problem. It's once it gets above, and I've checked if because the devs told me they were going to look into it, and if it needs fixing, they will fix it. But no new version has been released. Oh, just when I reached the airport, now the weather is kind of, you know, perfect for flying. Not perfect, but much better. But anyway, it was a nice experience, you know, flying in those conditions. Like I said, if you always do easy, always fly easy helicopters, autopilot and all, you will never improve. So train hard to get better. So as usual, we will overfly the runway, and this is where things are going to start to get sketchy with the manifold pressure. And yeah, that's what I was doing. ATC did not recognize that I'm a helicopter and I'm air taxiing or hover taxiing. Did not even have that option, and I violated ATC protocol. So since the heliport, not the heliport, the helipad is, should I go to the heliport? No. Since the helipad is at the other end of the runway, we will keep, we can say it's an air taxi based on the speed I'm going, 40 knots, yep. We are air taxiing to the helipad, anticipating that manifold pressure issue. So maybe I will start to slow down and do things a little bit differently, just to not crash after a successful flight. I mean, we reached our destination without autopilot, using our instruments. So yeah, maybe I can already start to, if I at least I can get on the power pedal, because here I'm not on the power pedal completely, so at least I could get on the power pedal. Yeah, So like I said, it ruins the immersion for me, having to fly the helicopter like this after flight. Just not to crash on landing. But the devs say, no, it's fine. Oh, there it is, there it is, there it goes. And look at this, you see how it rises? Then it makes the helicopter gain altitude too. So I don't know what the guys like about this, and because all the boys in-house, that's what the dev said, they fly it very often, they are very satisfied. Well, but that's not even a hover power for me. My hover power is a little bit lower than that. So I hope that the skids won't touch, because I'm a little bit worried to raise the collective, because it might suddenly you know, gain altitude. But anyway, if I do it slowly like I did here, it works, but it kind of a little bit ruins the immersion to me. So there we go. There we go. So let me just switch off my track IR so that I can relax a little bit. So there you are. So we did non-autopilot assisted flight from Kitty Hawk to Wonderboom. We dialed in the frequency and the course to the VOR station for both VOR stations while in flight, because we assigned key bindings for that. And as you can see, we reached our destination successfully. So I will definitely agree that it's much more difficult. And actually, this was supposed to be the first thing we learned, or one of the first things we learned when learning instrument flying. But because of the difficulty, you understand why I'm doing it last. So I hope you find this video helpful. If you do, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in another video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.